Katy Tavog was part of the first batch of yoga teachers that I was lucky to start my yoga journey with back about 10 years ago. Since then, Katie's added to her knowledge by getting her 500-hour in yoga teacher training, getting her master's of science in nutrition, as well as becoming a level 1 CrossFit coach. Today, we're going to talk about Katie's goals in life, one of which is making and competing in the CrossFit Games, as well as making and everybody laugh in some kind of way. So, love Katie, love the conversation, really informative, and I hope you get something out of it. See you on the other side. All right. Welcome back to our show. Today, I have one of my favorite human beings sitting across from me, and not just favorite human beings of just person to hang out with, favorite human beings of person to take class with, person to talk yoga with, person to do motherfucking yoga with, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I love you. You've been a part of my yoga journey since pretty much day one. I mean, almost 10 years ago in HYI Kirkland. Yeah. That awkward little studio.
God, those are the days.
It was such a beautiful place. Like I talked about
the energy there was so amazing.
I can't tell you how many times I got walked in on butt-ass naked, butt to butt with another man. Then somebody thinking that was a closet. And I talked about that in a previous episode, but it's like, I just still I have such fond memories about that awkwardness.
That is hilarious.
So I met Katie 10 years ago. And so since then, we've both grown in our lives. Now Katie has her Master of Science in Nutrition, 500-hour yoga teacher, level 1 CrossFit trainer, and just still growing from there. Your newest goal, which I love, is you're going to make the CrossFit Games this year.
Damn straight.
And that has been something that you've been training for a number of years, and you've been in the CrossFit. Have you been in the CrossFit Games yet? You've been qualifying. You've been
trying to get there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And
haven't quite made the cut yet.
And I know just from watching you how hard you fucking work to do that shit. There was one time. Was it during COVID that Colleen and I went over to your CrossFit gym over in Bellevue?
No, it was before. Yeah, was it I don't think it was. Was it the year before or the year before that? It was either 2018 or 2019.
I think it might have been 19. Yeah, I think it might have been right before the year before.
I think it was 19.
Yeah. Because we went down to your gym and
workout. Yeah, I remember the workout you were there for.
Good Lord. Yeah. I was tired watching you do that shit.
Yeah, that was 19. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I'm tired thinking about it.
I know. Yeah. Handstand walk in and all that things y'all do.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. So your journey is been a quite of a interesting one and amusing from your description of. Oh yeah. So from hearing the CrossFit stuff, the yoga stuff, the coaching, and the judging, actually, of the children, the gymnastics. So there's so many layers of things that you do and things that you have done.
Lots of hats.
Lots of hats that you wear. Yeah. And so when I first met you, you were doing, I think it was just yoga. Were you doing CrossFit then? Or was CrossFit even really...
I didn't start CrossFit until I just had my 10th anniversary of walking in my first CrossFit gym. So
wow. That's great. Wow, that's really cool.
So my first WOD was probably, and actually the first time in a CrossFit gym was to teach a yoga class.
Oh.
At that CrossFit.
All right.
And that was 10 years ago. Sunday or something like that.
Right on.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And so I started taking classes after that. So that was 2011.
Okay.
And was I teaching at HYI in 2011?
I don't know if I started yoga.
Yes, I was, because I did my level 2 in 2011.
Okay.
And I was teaching there before that.
Okay. Yeah, I think I started yoga. Yep. I think I started taking yoga in 2012-ish area. So probably about a year after that. But so your yoga training, you went through Baptiste for most of it? Mm-hmm. Okay. And what level did you?
I did level 1 and level 2.
Okay.
And back then, that was enough to get my 200-hour certification.
Okay.
Now it's not. You have to do something different. But back then, that worked.
That worked.
We were just talking about, there's been some scuttlebutt flying around about Baptiste and all of that. And I don't even know what all that is. I haven't kept up on it. But the level 1 literally changed my life.
Okay.
Hands down, it was an amazing experience. At the time, the hardest thing I've ever done.
Oh, wow.
Physically, the hardest thing I've ever done emotionally.
Okay.
It was like 10 years worth of therapy. Really, really powerful. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. Yeah. And there was no weird shit going on.
Yeah.
It was, at least, my experience of it was very straightforward. And just taught me so much about myself. It's really, really powerful. And level 2, not so much.
That was transformative.
Yeah, I mean, I learned some stuff. I had a completely. I knew going in that level 1 was a boot camp, and that it was going to be harder than hell. I did not have that same expectation for level 2.
Okay.
And when it ended up being the same, I was pissed off. Oh, I was just livid like the whole week. I mean, I still learned a lot.
Okay.
And a lot about myself, a lot about how to teach, how to connect. But I was just angry.
Okay. Did you want more out of that training or something different?
No, I don't know. I wanted more protein. that was one big thing. The food wasn't nearly as good. And I mean, the quality was good, the quantity not so good. And subsequently, learning what I have about nutrition and fueling workouts and for that kind of all day span, it was woefully inadequate.
Gotcha.
And that was part of it. That's gonna fuel, if you will, some emotion. Mine was anger. So that was a part of it. I wasn't prepared and didn't want to, have the what did they end up being, 16-hour days.
Wow.
And I didn't want to be herded. Like we're walking to the start of the day, and it's a well, where was that one? Was that one at Tulum? Yeah.
Oh, down in Mexico.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So walking across their compound, and he would send he had a whole crew of teachers who were supporting him, and people were assigned to be cleanup to make sure that everybody got to the room on time, and they literally would herd you and come up behind you and kind of shove you along the path to get into the room on time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, don't fucking touch me.
Cattle prods and shit.
Yeah. This is not okay.
Oh man, yeah, especially in a somewhat malnourished form.
Yeah,
Hot
yeah,
as shit, sweaty as hell.
You're exhausted. You haven't had enough food. You're emotionally drained because it is, if the physical part of it is enough to, send people weeping into their beds, but also, we're diving into some deep-seated historical, emotional shit with yourself, and all that combines, and it's like, and you're gonna fucking push me into this room. We'd have a noble silence walk on the beach.
Okay.
But we all had to stay together. So, whoever was in the front was setting the pace. It's like, no, that's not my pace for a noble walk. No. You see the length of these legs? We're on a beach. No.
Yeah, we're on a beach, exactly.
And, okay, fair enough. It was before my CrossFit days.
Yeah.
So I wasn't nearly as fit as I am now. But yeah, so the level 2, I still haven't figured out why. Maybe it was that there's not enough food that just kept me pissed off. I don't know.
Hey, that hangry moment is something serious.
It's serious.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Like the only protein at breakfast was yogurt, and it was a homemade yogurt. They made it there. It was amazing, but it was really thin. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how many gallons of stuff you'd need to eat to get enough protein to fuel you until lunch. And you're doing, hours of yoga.
Right. And
in addition to, conversations and stuff. And it's like, you expect, and the first thing we did was like a 2-hour yoga practice.
Yeah.
And it's like, really? And people are like, crashing, they're they're taking time out. He was good about not being an asshole, when you took a break in a class.
Like that was,
yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've heard horror stories about Bikram and that, if you went to the bathroom in the middle of class, you were mentally weak.
Yeah.
It's like,
Mm-hmm.
No. With Baptiste, there were, 100 of us and only 2 toilets. So he's like, don't wait for the breaks to go to the bathroom, okay? Yeah. Just go.
Go when you need to.
So, we hit that first chair pose. I go to the bathroom.
There you go. Strategic.
Yeah. But, I don't know how I do know how you expect people to get through a 2-hour workout with very little protein. It's because you don't understand nutrition and how the body works. But, yeah, that was... So, here I am with, what did I have? I didn't have protein powder then. I think I had some beef jerky and some granola bars and stuff, but I was just chowing this shit
just
down, trying to get some sort of nutrition in me. Oh.
Do you think that experience might have soured your continuation with that type of training, with Baptiste training?
With Baptiste? Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of felt like I'd hit the end of my road with them.
Mm-hmm. Because one of the ways they're set up is to kind of keep coming back. Like there's always another training.
There's another training. And I know people who had done level 1 and level 2 twice.
Okay.
And not even as an assistant to him, but actually just as a full-on participant.
Taking it, yeah.
To do it again. Wow.
Yeah.
Subject yourself. I mean, maybe, I don't know.
Well, I can say, so
I don't know. Yeah.
For my own personal experience, I worked with Open Up Yoga for a little while after I got my teacher training. And so I can say, as for my own personal journey, going through a teacher training, let's see, I probably went through teacher training maybe 10, 15 times, doing the Open Up trainings and working with Dee and that. So whether it's, sitting by proxy, listening to Dee do the things, or working on the workshops, or being a facilitator of some sort, I was still abreast of the knowledge for 15 sessions. And I can say for myself, I've got such a confident understanding now because of that repetition of knowledge.
Right.
But I didn't have to pay for it. Actually, I was getting paid to be there, right? So I can, if you have the money and you have the financial, or you have the time, or whatever it is to take that training multiple times.
Do it again, yeah.
You'll get a lot out of it.
Get different layers out of it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
absolutely.
A lot of it's not set up to have that repetition in there.
Yeah.
You do your 200, then you go to your 500.
It's luxurious to be able to do that, a second time.
Yeah.
Either one of them is pretty luxurious. And I had a friend do level 1. And I asked her, how prepared to teach she felt that enabled her, and she said not at all.
Yeah.
And I could see that. For me, I started with a completely different skill set from her, because I'd been teaching for, 15 years, coaching gymnastics. So, it was just a transition of what to teach, not necessarily how to teach.
Yes.
So I felt like it had prepared me really well. Level 2 was just, maybe a little bit more, not even information, just, and not necessarily stylistics, if you will, in teaching, but more along the roads of motivating.
Okay.
And I think the level 3, and I know, going further into the Baptiste philosophy, if you will, he's steering towards leadership, because I think they have a week long, or they used to, that's Born to Lead or something like that.
Yeah. That sounds familiar.
So working on creating leaders, in, whatever field or method you want. And I get that.
Yeah.
That just doesn't do it for me. So
yeah, I mean, to be completely frank, you're already a leader. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to be, if you know how to lead people, and like you said, you already had a teaching skill set going into it, that's half the training is like, how do you get up and hold space for a group of people and feel confident about it and not want to pee yourself? Or maybe want to pee yourself, but not actually pee yourself.
Yeah. You at least have that control.
Yeah, totally, right?
Yeah.
And I feel you. Right? I mean, my background, I was doing trainings for corporate, restaurants, things like that. So I was used to standing up in front of people and dictating information, holding space and all that stuff. It was just a transference of skills. Okay, now instead of teaching these people how to, let's say, make this cocktail or bust this table or prepare this food, now you're teaching them how to safely transition from this to this without slipping on their mat and falling on their face, or if they need to modify, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So it's like, hey, you already know how to do the things, hold the space. Now here's the new knowledge to put out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And actually the holding space was a lot of what I got out of level 1.
Okay.
And even just, that concept was sort of foreign to me beforehand. I mean, I think I had sensed it in the yoga classes that I took, with a teacher who was really good at it, and one who wasn't. So, you feel it.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like,
most definitely.
this sucks.
Yep. I had a I think the first batch of yoga teachers that I really was lucky enough to be a part of, but from a student aspect, were yourself, Joe Parsons, Tang, Danielle, Ashley Bernard, just some amazing teachers, right? That could hold the space. And for me, like, I didn't even know that was a thing back then. Right?
Yeah.
But I do remember having a teacher one time that, they came in, they announced at the beginning of class that I'm not feeling well. I tried to get my class covered. I couldn't. So I'm here. I'm like, okay, so we're starting off with that energy. That's fine.
Okay.
And then this person set up a Barca Lounger worth of blocks in the back of the room and just sat there on the blocks and dictated class the entire time. And again, like this person said, I'm not feeling well. I try to get my class covered. I'm going to do the best I can. But I can tell you from a practitioner standpoint, and the very first time that I recognized that, like, and I'm not saying this was a shitty class because this person taught it in a shitty way. It landed horribly with me.
Yeah.
Like, my head was like, why in the F is this person just sitting back there? Why aren't they demoing? And I was still new at the time. So that was like new Adam, right? That wanted to be shown how to do the poses, to be guided through it. And, again, that person was doing the best they could. But from the level of which I had been shown of what a teacher could be to what that person showed me, I knew that I would, if I ever stepped into a room, that I would not be at that. I would strive to be where you, Tang, Joe Parsons, you set that bar really high for me, without me even knowing it. I didn't even know I wanted to teach back then. Yeah. So, and
it was Joe Parsons for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Love Joe Parsons.
Right. Yeah.
She's just so magical.
She's awesome. Yeah, she is.
Says the most beautifully poetic stuff, and then you talk to her afterwards, and she's like, "I have no idea what I said."
What did I say? Yeah.
What did I say? Yeah. Like, God damn it, Joe. But that's the authenticness that Joe is, right? Yeah. The authenticness that you are, that drives me to come back to your class every freaking Monday, is the fucking comedy that you hold. And, you're
Spread your butt cheeks, man.
Yes. Yeah. Good God, man. It's so funny. Like, you start off class with jokes. You make jokes during class. It's the epitome of don't take yourself too goddamn seriously. Like we're here, we're doing things, we're challenging ourselves, but we can also make fart jokes and talk about dumb shit that animals do. Like it's just fun that way.
Yeah.
You know, and when you can make it a practice and not like take this idea of what you see on Instagram to be your yoga practice. You know, if you can actually be in your room, be in your space, in your body, and accepting of what you are, and then laugh at it.
Yeah.
That's where the true magic happens.
Yeah. I try. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I also know like where my mind goes in a practice, and when it goes to that place where it shouldn't be going, it's really helpful to have somebody to pull you out of there and, reground you, right?
Definitely. Oh yeah.
And that's, that's one of my favorite things in teaching is to, actually turn that around and look at that. Okay, what are you thinking about right now, right? How much harder are you making this on yourself?
Right. Yeah.
Because you're in the pain cave, man, and there's no reason to be there. Not in yoga.
Yeah,
no,
totally.
No, I mean I have to dive into there in CrossFit.
Oh man.
But in yoga, there's no reason unless that's your intention.
Yeah.
Right. If that's your intention, go for it. Right. But so that's no different from CrossFit. But you add the heat to yoga, and there's just something about what you're supposed to be able to do,
right.
Or given this, that, or the other, whatever, whether you've been practicing a long time or whether you're a teacher or whether blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
What you're, or what you did last week, right?
Yes.
Right. What you're supposed to be able to do. And that just.
Yeah. And I think that's been the hardest thing for a lot of us coming back into our practices and whatever that is from COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Whether it's CrossFit, whether it's yoga, whatever your modality of practice is, we're not where we left off and we want to be there.
Right.
And so we see a lot of people just going back and just trying the things they used to try, which is cool, but it's the frustration that follows it. That's the shitty part.
Yeah.
It's like, you haven't done this for 2 years.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to do what you did. And if you can, great. That's great. Muscle memory's there, but don't have that expectation.
Yeah.
Your muscles know what to do. You know that your body has the ability to get to that point. Now put the work in and get back there.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Knock it off.
Yeah.
I've had that with myself. Finally trying to establish my yoga practice again. Go from, taking like 5 to 7 classes a week to maybe 1 a week, maybe 1 every other week, and trying to feel good about that. But seeing now, like getting back into my practice, being frustrated with myself for what I just said, not being able to do what I feel I should be able to do. But seeing some of those demons, and I call them demons because they're my own personal ones, start to creep back into my head after 10 years of taking now. I've conquered a lot of those demons. Like when a yoga teacher says like, do this, and you look at him like, get fucked.
Yeah.
No, I will not do that, but I'm going to do it anyways. That voice is starting to come back into my head to where it makes me like kind of laugh, but like, oh, you're still there. That's funny.
Oh yeah. That was something that clicked with me, during COVID. I'm always, facing those demons and had this idea that I should be able to conquer demons, and they take all manner of shapes and forms and pop up at the most inopportune moments. But that, once you overcome a demon that, you're done. It's like, no, that you don't overcome demons.
Right.
You don't. You, on that day in that situation, you learn to deal with it. But they don't go away. They just take a step back.
Right.
They're
biding their time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's for your next weak moment.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like the ego, right? The ego can be very quiet sometimes, and the ego can be very, very loud. You know, it's fooling sometimes. You never know what you're going to get.
No.
Yeah.
You don't.
So so yoga for a long time, right? You've been yogaing for a long time.
Yeah.
And
16 years.
Yeah. Good shit.
Shit.
God damn, man.
Yeah, I know.
Was CrossFit, did that seem like a natural progression to you, or was that kind of?
Yes.
Okay.
I was, let's see, before yoga, I was doing an adult gymnastic class.
For yourself or teaching?
For myself.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. which just got more and more painful. And then let's see, and then a friend got me into running.
Oh, never gotten to running myself.
And well, as a segue to take this outdoor fitness class, outdoor endurance training called Adventex. And we would, on Saturdays, we go to Discovery Park and run, from point A to point B. When we got to point B, we'd do some body weight workout, calisthenics, if you will, and then run to the next point and do more stuff there. It was super fun. Great community.
Cool.
It had potential to become really big, I think. But we had a really good time. Anyway, so we did some running to get me ready for that, and then I thought I needed something else on the off days as recovery. And her partner was like, "Oh, hot yoga is the best."
Yeah.
So I gave that a shot, and that was just immediately it fit. It's like, oh yeah,
nice.
This is right. And I honestly had the exact same experience with CrossFit. I walked in that night to teach a class, and I came in early to just kind of scope things out and saw a class in progress and people throwing weights around and sweating and laying on the floor, and I was just like, oh yeah, these are my people.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, everything just has led to the next. Super fun.
I love that.
Super fun.
And and I had not really experienced CrossFit until we met, and you brought me on to help you with Mofo Yoga, and I really felt that community feel whenever I stepped into the CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
And I had only known CrossFit by proxy, just from what people have told me, and a lot of it too was. I wouldn't say it's a myth, but it was the extreme of what CrossFit used to be when it first came out. And I think before people really embraced it as an actual form of fitness,
right?
Not just workout till you throw up,
right?
And that's the way that it was explained to me and the way that I looked at it.
Yeah.
And I was ignorant with it, but it took somebody like yourself to be a part of it, and you're a part of my life. To be like, okay, now I have a person I can ask questions to.
Yeah.
And I can figure this out. And a lot of that was like yoga too, before, like yoga was just like, I had all the male, preconceived notions of yoga. It's girly, it's stretchy, it's, all these things. And like, I don't understand the words.
Too much foo-foo.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then I get in there and realize it's like the hardest thing I've ever thought about doing in my entire fucking life.
Yeah.
So with CrossFit, like I had all these preconceived notions, but then, talking with you about it and seeing the impact that it made in your life. And it's not something I've gotten into, but I appreciate and I respect the shit out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. That perception you had is initially kind of the perception that CrossFit itself wanted to put out there.
Oh,
that
okay.
They even had their own sort of cartoon character called Pukie, which,
Yes.
That was, it was a thing to work out, to do the workout so hard that you ended up puking.
Yeah.
And there was, it was like a rite of passage kind of thing. And that brought in a certain personality type. And then they, as the years went by, they realized that, for long-term growth and expansion, that's probably not the right sort of persona we want to be putting out there. It wasn't all that all the time, but it's totally understandable why so many people think of it that way.
Yeah. Pukie. I can't believe there was a mascot.
Yeah, mascot. He was like a clown, hilarious. Some sort of clown. I'm
going to try to find that.
Yeah. You can find it. Yeah. They've moved away from Pukie.
Yeah.
They've had to move away from several things in the past year or two. It's been really interesting to watch. There was a big controversy right after. Okay, so the dude who started CrossFit, Greg Glassman, he started it. It's his methodology. He is, he's a zealot.
Okay.
Is the best way to put it. And he, in addition to, with the CrossFit thing, firm believer in a lot of, that like soda is the Antichrist. He's not too far off there.
Okay.
He anyway, he was also a bit of an asshole. There was an unspoken culture at CrossFit HQ of misogyny and
okay.
I don't know, necessarily overt racism, but certainly not terribly forward thinking.
Gotcha.
And CrossFit has always had sort of two divisions: the workout, just as an average person's workout, and then the competitive sport.
Okay.
Kind of two separate entities, and the competitive sport was getting all of the attention and was taking on a bigger chunk of the money. And so a couple of years ago, he cut that. It's like, no, this money, this energy, this time needs to be going towards the foundation, more people, to change more people's lives.
Gotcha.
Who cares if this one person is the, fittest on earth? It's entertaining, but it doesn't really change people's lives. Whereas CrossFit, the methodology, can change people's lives and can keep them healthier longer.
So more community-based.
More community-based, yeah. Yeah. Okay. And he had a point. He was right. I think the way he went about it was not the best. But anyway, so that started some resentment. And then after George Floyd was killed, he tweeted, before that, like a month or two before that, an email response to a local affiliate owner was made public. She was asking him about his intentions to be more inclusive and accountability and support for affiliates, yada, yada, yada. And his response to her was over the top. Like, nobody gives a shit what you think. Just shut up and do your job and stop bugging me. And, this shit you want to happen is never going to happen. So just, fuck off.
Wow.
It was essentially just like, dude, you don't have somebody write your emails for you? Really?
Man. Yeah, that's the email you write then delete.
Yeah.
You don't send that one.
Yeah, he sent that one. He sent that one, and she immediately made it public.
All right.
So that, and then like a month later, so, people were like, whoa. And then a month later, after George Floyd was killed, he tweets out something. It's like Floyd 19. So trying to equate the murder of George Floyd to COVID-19 being a hoax and people making a big deal out of nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was ugly.
Yeah.
And the community just, it hit the fan.
Yeah.
Athletes pulled out of the games.
Wow.
Okay. Gyms pulled their affiliation. Like a fifth of the gyms around the world pulled their affiliation.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's a big chunk.
Big chunk.
Wow.
And said, we're done. The interesting thing is, so you can't call yourself a CrossFit gym,
right,
unless you pay your affiliate dues.
Okay. Kind of like Bikram back in the day.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of. Not that strict.
Okay.
But you pay your affiliate dues, you can call yourself a CrossFit gym. You can be on their list of CrossFit gyms, right? Otherwise, you have to call yourself functional fitness or something similar.
Okay.
You can't call what you're doing CrossFit because it's...
Okay. But there's an offshoot. There's functional fitness.
Yeah.
Generic name for it.
Yeah, and there's an international functional fitness association that runs competitions and that sort of thing. So, so the community
didn't like that.
Didn't care for that at all.
Yeah.
And he felt it. He realized. I don't know whether he realized he screwed up or not, but he sold.
Oh, okay.
Dude named Eric Rosa and a, investment group behind him, bought Greg Glassman out. And so CrossFit has a new CEO
Okay.
and owner. Glassman, made off with his millions of dollars, and who knows what he's doing now. Who
Right,
cares?
right.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
and so with that, that whole split between, CrossFit as the workout and CrossFit as the sport, things were shifted a little bit so that they help each other out.
Okay.
And that's the piece that Glassman missed out on, that there's, yes, they're separate, yet they're mutually beneficial. They each get benefit from the other side.
Nice.
Yeah. So there were, and then, having to deal with all of that in the midst of COVID was
Oh God.
entertaining. It's been entertaining to watch, and how things have changed. And they had a CrossFit Games in 2020.
Okay. Virtual one or?
The first round was virtual. Top 5 men, top 5 women out of that went to California and competed in person, under all sorts of protocols and whatnot. Super fun to watch. Really different type of games, because normally you have 40 men and 40 women. Now you just had 5. So
Oh wow.
you could see everybody. You could see their relative, performances and stuff. It was cool, and they admitted that it was a really unique experience. To be isolated like that, and also just with that small group of people, and it's pretty cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
And so then last year things have gotten a little bit more normal. We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know where that whole thread came from.
Yeah,
Changes to CrossFit. Yeah.
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 Well, I heard a rumor one time, and I think I may have asked you about this a number of years ago, but I can't remember now. But I had a rumor back when I still had the understanding that CrossFit was just work till you throw up.
Yeah.
That the CEO, I guess Glassman, was trying to partner with the Church of Scientology to become the official modality of workout for the Church of
Scientology,
so that he could not have to pay taxes.
Oh.
Because you're affiliated with the church, then you wouldn't have to pay taxes.
Yeah.
And I that can be a complete rumor. I have no idea, but I heard that a number of years ago.
I wouldn't put it past him, but I had never heard anything one way or the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if I can find where I found
That's
that.
hilarious.
That was at least 10 years ago I heard that. Yeah, it was really strange, but it that just added to my the story in my head that I'd written about CrossFit. Work out till you throw up. Now you're trying to cheat your taxes. Go F yourself, CrossFit.
Yeah.
But then I got actually knowledgeable about what it is, met the communities, and I appreciate CrossFit.
Yeah.
It's not something that I've ventured into yet. But I do see the benefit that it holds, whether it's for the person that's doing the workout themselves or for the community of the people getting together. It's all good.
It's all good. And it's, people ask me, you teach yoga and you do CrossFit? How, they think that those things are, mutually exclusive and very,
right.
Different ends of the spectrum, if you will. But it is a spectrum, yes. But there's the similarities are one of the things that draws me. The community, that the bond that is created by shared suffering, right?
It's like trauma bonding almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so. And with that, you have your own jargon, you have your own histories, you have, right? You have, that those are elements of culture, right?
Right.
So that's always really interesting. But, the other piece where, yoga, we talk about and we practice and bring it to the forefront of, this is your opportunity to let go of all the other shit going on in your day, and yoga as moving meditation, and to stay focused on your breath and stay focused on your movement and not worry about fill in the blank.
Right.
CrossFit fulfills the exact same thing.
Right.
And while it's not a silent meditation because you can chat with the person next to you. Maybe not so much when you're in the middle of the the active workout, but it is that it's that hour away, right? It's that hour to put the phone away. The kids are being dealt with by somebody, presumably. Work is on hold, whatever. You have this hour just with you and your buddies. And you start off by complaining about what you're going to have to do. You moan about getting ready to do it. You go and sweat through it, and then you complain yet brag about what you just did when you're done. And so like you run through this whole cycle, and then you pack up your stuff and you go, and you've had this hour where you didn't have to deal.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, I have friends who back in the day would bring their kids into the gym and try and like supervise their kids while they're working out at the same time, and they get extra credit status on their results when they have to yell at their kids in the middle of a workout. I think that's only fair. But so that piece is there. The movements are different, sure. But the technicality of it, and having to put your body parts in the right spot at the right time, with the right kinesthetic energy, that it's all the same. And that mental challenge of learning new things, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Part of me does it on a yoga mat. The other part of me does it with a barbell.
Yeah.
And it's same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the, the best ways that I found for myself to keep my brain working is by continuously challenging myself to do, like, for example, like inversions, right? I'm a 41-year-old man now that wasn't able to do inversions until I was 38. Like my entire life I was feet on the ground, and now my hands are on the ground and my feet are in the air. Like that is exciting to me, and that keeps my brain moving in different ways.
Yeah, it's like amazing.
Right? Yeah.
It's amazing.
You challenge yourself, you reach those challenges, you push past that stuff. And not only for our personal, like, just mental stability, but like, man, if you're depressed, if you're anxious, if you have some of these debilitating mental things that we all have to deal with in life, get inside your body somehow.
Yeah.
Test yourself.
Yeah.
Lift some weights. Do some yoga. Run something.
Yeah.
Do something to like challenge yourself.
Yeah.
I heard a Navy SEAL talk one time recently, and he's talked about, like Navy SEALs aren't built differently than anybody else. They just know how to call on their team captain, right? They know how to call that team captain up, to put that team captain in charge, and to let that team captain not let anybody down.
Yeah.
Especially themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And so that same mentality, like when you're with your CrossFit, with your yoga community, that's a community. Yes, it's a very individualistic thing that you're doing, but you're supported by that community.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it's CrossFitters standing behind you, pushing you to like lift that weight even higher or get that next rep or whatever it is, or that silent yogi standing behind you, willing you to kick up one more time into your handstand.
Yeah. Right.
There's that community of people that are holding that space for you for you to challenge yourself. Yeah. And that love is something special.
It is. And that's just the emotional part of it, the physical part of it, the hormonal response to that is, it is a cure for depression and anxiety.
Yes.
Not a you're done forever, but for the next X number of hours.
Yeah.
You now have the chemicals running through your body that were not there before. And those are the chemicals that, lift you out of that funk.
Right.
Lift, or however you want to characterize it. And it's, and so even if you don't struggle with anxiety or depression, you still get that chemical boost.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And really, only you can squash that boost by judging yourself or comparing yourself. But because your body just knows, okay, I've gotten to move, and there's a response to that.
Definitely.
and it's so powerful.
Yeah, like when you like when you like what do they call it? Your personal record. When you PR,
When
right?
you PR, yeah.
Like when you PR, that is your instant dopamine rush. That is nothing stopping that chemical from hitting your brain and making you feel like you're on top of the fucking world, because you really are. You've just done something that you didn't know you were physically possible doing.
Something you've never done before.
Man,
absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's I get a lot of I struggle with the placebo effect and the efficacy of it, and how people downplay the placebo effect. But the placebo effect is our body creating the chemicals that we need.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, I mean, a lot of that can be looked at as a placebo effect, but that's not it. We've created the chemical cocktail that we needed to get past the thing that we were trying to get past. Yeah. And we all have that within us, right? It's just finding that way to nominate that team captain, put them up there to make you push yourself to get those chemicals moving into your brain.
Yep. And you know, that's a great segue into
nutrition.
Well, aging.
Aging. Oh, all right.
And that, you know, it's always been thought that women have to get weaker or lose strength as we age, as we go through menopause.
Okay.
And some recent studies have come out showing that no, we don't.
That's I don't think I heard that.
You can still gain strength at the ripe old age of 54. I can attest to it.
Fantastic.
Now, I say that, and then people automatically think, well, yeah, but you have to work out as much as you do. It's like, well, when you're 25, you have to work out to gain strength too.
Right.
It doesn't just happen because you looked at a picture in a magazine.
Right.
But it will happen. You know, you have to be, you know, the older you get, the smarter you have to be about it.
Right.
You know, when you're young, you sort of have growth hormone pumping through your veins.
Right. You got a little,
your age, not quite so much, quite so much, but you can still gain strength. And not only can you get stronger, you can get fitter. Another study that recently came out is that our metabolisms actually don't slow until we get about 60.
Oh, really?
And even then, it's not very much.
Okay.
So everybody who's gaining weight in their 30s and 40s, claiming that their metabolism is slowing down because they're getting older, it's like, no, your metabolism's slowing down because you're sitting on your ass and you're losing muscle mass.
Right.
Hey, that rhymes.
That'll be the title of the podcast. Sitting on your ass, losing muscle mass.
That's why your metabolism slows down. It's not aging.
Yeah.
And I was like, and these literally just came out in the last couple of months, and I'm just like, damn, that's it. And I realized how much the losing strength piece of it, particularly because I'm a almost postmenopausal woman. Okay. How much that was weighing on me. You know, anytime I have to do strength work in the gym, which is like all the time, but you know, going for trying to tie 1 rep maxes or going for PRs, which I don't do all that much anymore, because the risk versus reward.
Right.
You know, you have this thought in the back of your mind, like, well, I'm older. I'm, you know, how many years older since the last time I did this?
Right.
You know, I've gotten older and weaker. It's like, well, no.
Right.
No, you can still do that. And you know what? You might even be able to do more.
Right.
Because fitness is also a part of strength. The fitter you are, the stronger you are. So even if you don't test it, if you're getting fitter, when you do test it, you probably will be able to do more.
That's, you know, it sounds to me like, you know, let's take like somebody that's terminal, right? And they go to the doctor, they find out they've got terminal cancer or whatever it is, and they get told you have X amount of time to live. And a lot of times, like, the body hears that and the body's like, cool, 8 months to live, right? And they take that as fact, they take that as gospel, whatever you want to call it, and that's what they hang their hat on. And so maybe in a way, like, we've just been told for so long that we're going to get weaker as we get older. We're going to get fatter as we get older because our metabolism slows down. And so innately we just believed it, but nobody, you know, maybe a small percentage of us didn't believe it and push past it. But for the most part, we believed it because that's what the overarching higher ups were telling us.
And if you did push past it, then there's something special about you, right?
Yeah. You're not the norm. You're abnormal. Right. Yeah. You're unique.
Yeah,
But it's like, are we?
damn straight I am
Yeah, you are
unique.
unique.
But
Yeah.
that's not why I'm
Exactly.
unique.
It's the
Yeah.
unicorn pants that make you
It's the
unique.
unicorn pants.
But yeah, so sometimes,
Absolutely.
maybe just
Yeah,
given
absolutely.
that
the power
permission.
of suggestion.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Yeah, hell
Jesus. It's so it's so powerful. Sorry, that's redundant, but
it really is, especially when you have
incredible.
authoritative figure telling you,
Yes,
this
yes,
is your knowledge,
yes,
this is
yes.
where it comes from, this
Yeah.
is the history, the experiments we've done. Like, okay, well, you're the person in charge. I should believe you. Cool. All right, I have this is the knowledge I have. Is it though? No, because we've just found out that
is
that's
it
not
really
right.
knowledge? Yeah,
Yeah,
or is
it's
it just
the best guess.
conventional wisdom?
Right,
Yeah,
conventional wisdom.
Is it normal or is it typical?
Right. Yes. Vastly different.
Vastly different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Interchangeable, but very different. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so let's talk about your nutrition.
Nutrition,
because that was
my nutrition.
I mean,
path.
you've been such a help for me in my life in general.
Good.
And then when you started doing nutrition, I'm like, cool, another way Katy can help me. I got more questions to ask Katy now. And so and while you were doing that, I mean,
lots of friends like that.
Yeah, it's like it's like the person that has a truck when you need to move.
Yeah,
you're just gonna call that person up, and be like, hey, what's up, Hobie? But yeah, when you started your nutrition journey, that was exciting to me because I'm like, well, I'd been, I think, somewhat successful with losing weight. I've struggled with weight my entire life, and so nutrition has been something that's always been like something I've thought about but never really knew about, and never really knew how to go about like learning about it besides just taking like schooling of some sort.
Yeah.
So when you started doing the nutrition stuff, I got excited because that gave me an outlet to actually talk to somebody about, whether it was vitamins, nutrition, what to eat, how to eat. I think I asked you what I should probably start eating for lunch at one point in time. And so so that was that a natural transition from just kind of made sense to just progress from.
It was, but I had at least one entertaining poke to redirect me.
I always love an entertaining poke.
I know, and it was at the yoga studio. It was in the bathroom at B1.
All right. Quite the place for an entertaining poke.
I know, right? And I was talking to somebody about what they're eating and that maybe they should try something different. Because odds are it might work for you, and you got nothing to lose, and and I said, but I just read shit on the internet, so it's just an idea. And somebody turned to me and goes, "Why don't you just go ahead and get your degree in nutrition already?" And I was like, maybe I should do that. So I did.
Yeah.
I had to do a little research to figure out exactly what direction to go with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that got me to go back to school because I can hear my husband chuckling in my ears, like, yeah, like you need a lot of help to go back to school. I have a lot of degrees.
Yeah.
I love school.
Lifetime student.
Lifetime student.
You gotta love it.
I love school.
Yeah.
I love to learn.
Yeah.
We'll put it that way. It doesn't have to be in the formal setting of school, but if that's what is going to not only provide the knowledge, but the, I don't want to say credential, but it's partially that and partially the legitimacy of the knowledge.
Yeah.
It's not just a Google degree.
Yep. Yep.
Which, as this past year has shown us, is extremely problematic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Social media masters, huh? Oh man. Yeah. That's something special.
Something special. Yeah.
Confirmation bias. Be careful, folks. Be careful.
Yeah. We thought having information at our fingertips was going to be a good thing.
I know.
And for Trivial Pursuit, it's excellent. It's excellent. Yes. Yeah. So I did that, and that was fascinating.
Yeah.
And it almost opened up more questions than it answered my master's degree because nutrition is so fucking complex and so ill explored. When you think about that, we've only known vitamins
Okay.
have existed for 100 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. It's only been 100 years.
Wow. That's perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't know shit
Yeah.
about
Wow.
nutrition and how the human body works.
Yeah.
And the complexity is lost on almost everybody. And I've said this to you before. Because everyone eats, everyone thinks they understand nutrition.
Yep. I remember you telling me that.
And because everybody sneezes, everybody thinks they understand viruses.
Right. Exactly.
There's a real parallel there.
Well, now with WebMD, we all do. Come on. Yeah, you sneeze, you have cancer. That's the thing, right?
Actually, my husband's dog, before the dog he had before I met him, kept sneezing.
Okay.
And took her to the vet, and turned out she had a brain tumor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't think I'd draw that
there
dotted
you go.
line.
So there, yeah. So
Okay.
be careful what you joke about.
Yeah, right?
Who knows what sneezing is rooted to. Yeah. So, and the problem with nutritional science is the research, and that quality research is really, really hard because you cannot isolate people to prevent all of the confounders.
Right.
Right. So, true sort of, the gold standard of research is the randomized control trial.
Yeah,
the double blinds and all of that. But, how do you control for, what somebody eats and have it be exactly X,
right,
with no other confounding stuff? You have to lock them in a room and have sensors on how they're breathing and feed them exactly. Yeah, it's just, who the hell wants to do that? I mean, you can't. If there were a lot of money and you could get paid a lot of money to do that, then that would work. But to be able to do that in enough numbers that would be significant is that's just probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, we get a lot of studies on mice, the 3M, the metabolic mouse miracles.
Oh.
Any study you see come out about metabolism,
Okay.
has probably been done on a mouse. The mice are the subjects, and while there are a lot of similarities in how human metabolisms and mouse metabolisms work, there's there's a lot of differences too. So none of those studies have translated into human studies. So it cracks me up when somebody goes, "Oh, did you see this latest study about da 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 and metabolism?" I'm like, "Yeah, was it done on mice?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, 3M, man.
Yeah.
Modern mice miracle. Yeah, eat this tree bark every day for a year and you'll never have blah 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 because they fed it to mice for a year." Yeah, anyway. So it's just there's so much we don't know.
Yeah.
And the best approach for most people is the N=1 experiment, which is you experiment on yourself.
Right.
You take your best guess, hopefully, maybe with the advice of a nutritionist or somebody who knows something.
Right.
Take your best guess at a change you think could work, and you try it out. And even that's hard because, to just change one thing in your diet consistently for a period of time, 2, 4, 6 weeks, and not change anything else.
Right.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like when you get to like say you have an allergy of some sort and you go to the omitting type of diet where you omit everything and then slowly introduce things back in. That's so hard because especially now when we're eating products that are mass produced in areas like, let's say, like I'm eating a chocolate bar that's just pure chocolate, but it says may contain peanuts because it was made
in the same facility.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So how do you know that?
Are you?
Yeah. If I'm trying to cut out peanuts and I want to know if that's, it's like all these things you have to look at to really have the dedication to find the thing that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. I try my guiding light for most people who ask me questions, most things that come up is I try to look back evolutionarily. What did we as humans evolve eating?
Okay.
Because that's the million years up to this point.
Right.
What we've been eating for the last 200 years has not affected us really evolutionarily.
Right.
It's certainly affecting us.
It's affecting.
But we have not adapted.
Yes.
You don't adapt in 200 years. You don't adapt in 1 or 2 generations. It's not how that works.
We find new diseases like diabetes.
Yes,
and stuff.
yes. Well, we don't find them. We give them names. They've been around forever, in one form or another. Although, do you have, and we're talking, for that example, we've got to clarify that it's type 2 diabetes, not type 1.
Yep.
But do you have type 2 diabetes if you don't have processed food? Probably, but in the numbers that we have now, no.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Because, anybody's pancreas can poop out for whatever reason, randomly.
Right.
And I'm sure it did. Otherwise, that episode of Outlander wouldn't have existed.
Oh, good reference. Good for you.
Yes.
Hell yeah. I actually went back and watched Outlander recently.
Did you?
Yeah. It doesn't really hold up.
No.
I mean, it definitely dates itself, but it's still moderately entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was, that was 1740 something, and somebody had diabetes. Yeah. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah.
Anyway. So the first place to start is you look at the type of food you're eating, and what did we evolve eating? We evolved eating whole foods.
Yeah.
Yes, the fossil record shows that we did eat some grains. If we, if these roving packs of people, found a field of rice, because these grains have been growing. They just haven't been cultivated, right?
Yeah.
They found something they knew they could eat. They would eat it. They're not gonna turn down food.
Yeah.
There's versions of wheat out there and rice out there that was wild rice. I'm sure it's not quite what we call it today, but but whole foods, and so your meats, your vegetables, your leafy things, your rooty things, and then occasionally you stumble upon the beehive and, whoa, you got some honey and let's go to town.
Yeah.
Occasionally, not every day, every meal.
Right. Throwing some honey on everything.
Yeah, on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had, there were forms of alcohol. There were, what was the other thing I was going to say? I don't remember. Anyway, so that's, it really is the place to start, is the eliminating the processed foods.
Yeah.
Not only from a health standpoint, but from a political standpoint. I mean, those food companies,
it's pretty bad.
It's bad.
It's
and
bad.
The influence they've had in our politics and in our, the dietary guidelines for Americans,
right.
blah, 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 blah. It's pretty tremendous.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until I think you brought that up to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one of the first companies that I recognized that were just nefarious with their money was Chick-fil-A. And how they try to, they don't try to, but they donate money to organizations that feel that homosexuality can be reversed. And that it can be like, you can have a different therapy to work out the homosexuality that's within you and all this. It's like, come the fuck on, man.
Yeah, it's so sad.
And I can't.
sad.
I growing up in the South, I love Chick-fil-A. They got great waffle fries. I was a former fat child, so I used to eat the hell out of some Chick-fil-A.
Eat the hell out of that,
Yeah. But as soon as I learned that, it's like, and now I understand how to vote with my dollars and to stand up for what I believe in.
Yeah.
And I just can't. I can't.
Yeah.
Not
That's,
my what $6 that I would spend with them.
Yeah.
Like maybe 2 of that would go to like reversal therapies.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I'll keep my $2.
I'll keep my $2. I'll give my $2 to some
somebody that's gonna let everybody be who the hell they want to be.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I feel this. Chick-fil-A, obviously, but feel the same way about Nestle.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know about Nestle.
They had a big push, I think in the 70s. I don't know, because my mom was anti-Nestle, which is weird that she'd even be aware, of giving away and pushing in Africa instead of breastfeeding formula.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And a serious campaign to get folks using
that's so crazy
formula and instead of breastfeeding, and it's crazy.
Wow.
And then you add into their how they source their chocolate.
Very nefariously.
Very
bad.
Right. And now apparently there's some issues with they're preventing employees from organizing.
Oh, interesting.
Something going on in Portland with that.
Wow.
Yeah, so yes, I think they're a terrible company, but also their chocolate sucks. So it's it's a no brainer for me. But that's it. I have these lists of companies. I won't give them my money. Yeah, sure, exactly. It's like $6 a year. Is it really going to make a difference? Like, you know what? In my mind, yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Because that's also $6 for somebody else who's doing the right thing.
Right.
Right? And they need every dollar matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And that's it. It's those local businesses, those businesses that you love, that what they stand for, that their products stand up. Like I'll give them my money all day long.
Absolutely.
The small person, whatever it is. But yeah, once we start digging into these bigger companies, you can really understand just how just business oriented they are. They don't give a shit about the consumer. They don't give a shit about the world. They are just all in it for the money. And what they're doing with that money is some shitty shit too. It's just really terrible stuff.
Yeah.
That, I don't feel like you said, like Nestle, for example. But the hard part about somebody like Nestle is you don't even know how many products they have out there.
Yes.
Like it's not just Nestle chocolate. There's Nestle water. There's Nestle, all kinds of products.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff that's Nestle. Yeah. It's those conglomerates are frightening on so many different levels. And so right there is another reason. If you're eating whole food, you're not buying from those companies. Right? You're in the produce section, and that's and the produce section and the meat section, and there you go.
Yeah.
Right? In a perfect world, sure, I eat a shit ton of rice. I get that. But if you're not buying that stuff, you're not supporting those companies. Yeah. And the thing is that those companies have spent billions of dollars formulating these recipes that create food addictions.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Food addiction is a thing.
Yep.
That sugar, salt, fat combination that is found nowhere in nature. Nowhere. Right? Mm-hmm. That you get with fill in the blank if it comes in a box. Right?
French fries. I mean,
French fries. Breakfast cereal,
Doritos.
Granola bars.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's health food.
Healthy candy bars.
Yeah. Those, and even the stuff that's not meant to be sweet, that is just like your Chex Mix or something like that. These companies spend billions of dollars formulating those recipes for maximum effect, for
Definitely.
maximum eatability, where you can't eat just one. And there's, we talked about the hormonal response and the dopamine and the serotonin and all of the brain chemicals that come from working out. You can get those from your Snickers bar as well,
Yep.
which is your healthier option.
Right.
And that's, there's no debate there.
Right.
Come on. I don't care what kind of fucking Google search you do. You're not going to tell me that eating a Snickers bar is healthier than working out.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But the chemical response is the same, and these companies have researched that up the yin yang to maximize that effect, and they are beyond wealthy because of it.
Yep.
And it is, and you look at how much money these companies make, and how many products they produce, and then you look at the health of people in this country and the rates of diabetes and obesity, and it's like this. It's just frightening.
Yeah.
And sad, and really sad, because an addiction is an addiction.
Right.
And it's not just about, walking away from whatever that product is. It is physically, mentally, emotionally extremely challenging, and you really need to be motivated. And the other piece of it is that modern medicine has come up with so many ways to treat the symptoms.
Right.
That it's an easy out.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's what diabetes is all about. Right. Insulin isn't curing your diabetes; it's just masking the symptoms,
Right.
so that you can get even sicker and live miserably longer.
Yeah.
But we don't. People don't see that. They don't understand the difference. I mean, my mom. Yeah. She actually said, "Oh, just I don't want to change anything. Just give me a pill."
Right.
She's the generation that grew up with the polio vaccine, right? The proliferation of penicillin and the wonders, back when modern medicine was a miracle.
Yep.
And it's like, and it was life-saving, and we've prevented X, Y, and Z, which is all coming back around.
Right.
But anyway, and medicine was your friend and your savior.
Right.
And so she still really feels that. And I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. When you're 84 years old, it's it's a little tricky to change those habits.
You've been been told that your whole life, and that's what you hang
and
your
you've
hat
experienced that your whole life, right?
Yep. Yeah, but that masking of symptom stuff, I mean, that's now that we know how much we're masking the symptoms and not actually letting your immune system do what it needs to do to get stronger, to fight whatever virus or whatever thing, so that you innately get stronger, or, you work through whatever. But like, we are healing ourselves. Like, we have that ability within ourselves, like from the bodies that we have, or what we put in that body, right?
Yeah.
The food that we eat.
Yeah.
I think one of the best the piece of advice you ever gave me when I asked you about nutrition was, I asked you, I had a litany of vitamins. It's like, I take all these things. And you're like, why? And I'm like, well, because I need those vitamins. You're like, well, you should just eat those vitamins then. And just not take all those vitamins.
Yeah.
Eat differently to get the vitamins you need. And that again, that changed my life. Right? That was a big aha moment for me of like, okay, I don't need this whole medicine cabinet full of shit, CalMag zinc pills and all these things like iron and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, just adjust my diet better.
Yeah.
Eat the vitamins that I need, and then I'm good to go.
Yeah.
There's still brain stuff that I'll take that I, probably could eat more of whatever thing, but there's still some things that I take, but instead of 15, now there's 3.
Yeah, exactly. And there are legitimate concerns about nutrient density in modern foods. Our soils are not as dense with nutrients, therefore the plants are not as dense with nutrients. And that's legitimate. But that's not a reason to, abandon any attempt at nutrition from its source. Nice try, but I'm not buying it. And unfortunately it's so many of those vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals. We don't really have great tests to be able to figure out if we're not getting enough of any of them.
Okay.
The blood tests are the standard, but there's some of that stuff doesn't circulate in the blood, right? It doesn't, it's not stored in the blood. Or the body has such a mechanism to maintain levels, homeostasis, that you can't tell by a blood test because it's never going to change in your blood. You have to test some other bits. Calcium's the example for that one because if calcium is responsible for so many cellular actions and admittance of things into the cell, that adequate levels are always maintained in your blood.
Okay.
And if as soon as those start to drop, that's when your body starts to, break apart your bones, disintegrate your bones, to provide more calcium. Bones are the storage of calcium.
Gotcha.
So you can't, so it's for testing blood levels of calcium is essentially pointless.
Right.
You need to test bone density, but bone density has become yet another area. There's this, osteoporosis is a real thing, but you're not diagnosed with it until you actually have it. So they came up with this random number that determines pre-osteoporosis so they can put you on a drug.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When actually what you need to do is start lifting.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. You need to bear weight in order to densify your bones.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. You can increase bone density as you age.
Isn't it like
if you bear weight?
And impactful stuff too, like
yeah,
a little bit of jogging, like minor jogging, walking, stuff like that.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's not as good. I mean, the impact is rough on older joints.
Yeah.
It's not as good as weightlifting, and I can hear the arguments like, "Are you going to tell me weightlifting's better for your joints?" Well, done correctly, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you don't have to push up all the weight all the time, but yeah, some moderate weight that's over your body
weightlifting
weight.
doesn't mean you're going for a 1 rep max every time you put a bar on your back. That's dumb. But putting the bar on your back is the important thing, and then squatting correctly. And the thing is, squatting is a natural movement that our bodies do. You look at a small child, watch them pick something up from the floor, they squat down, right? And their technique and form is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Because they haven't learned anything else. Right?
Yeah.
It's innate. As we age, as we get all this other shit in our heads, we start doing it differently. And as we see, I've said that the chair is the invention of the chair is the downfall of Western civilization.
I don't think I've heard you say that before.
Yeah, because before chairs were invented, we sat on the floor.
Okay.
And we squatted.
Okay.
Right? How many of us can sit on the floor comfortably now?
I can because I'm a yogi now.
Right.
But before I started doing yoga, I couldn't even see my toes, let alone touch them.
Yeah. I mean, and I can squat. I can squat for a lot longer than I can sit on the floor.
Yeah, definitely.
Honestly. But that movement, so you put weight on your back and all of a sudden you're loading up your spine, your hips, your butt, your quad. I mean, everything on the way down. I had somebody ask me the other day if chaturanga is resistance. It's like, well, yeah, for your upper body, but it's not getting your spine. It's not getting your legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And jumping, right? Explosive movement is great if your joints can handle that, but. Right. I'm in a position right now where I can squat all day long, but running and jumping is problematic.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't, I can't honestly think of the last time I ran to run, just actually sprinted or something, or jumped. I do a lot of yoga, I do a lot of physical activity, but yeah, running and jumping, now that I think about it, I don't know if I've done that in a while.
And that explosive movement is it is really good for you, but weight bearing is more important.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you, and I probably know the answer to this question before I ask you.
63.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
That was the answer.
Yeah, okay.
Do you have a diet-esque type thing that you like to refer, or is it more of just like you look at the person as a nutritionist? Is it more looking at the person and saying, okay, like looking at the individual and looking at how they eat rather than you need to go paleo or you need to be a vegan or you need to blah, blah, blah?
I'm trying to imagine the day that would come. What would have to happen for me to tell somebody they had to be a vegan? Anyway, it's pretty individual because you got to start where they're at,
Okay.
and so you start where they're at, and to get where they want to be or need to be is based on a lot of things, right? Their lifestyle and their age and what's reasonable to expect, and then you gotta have little milestones along the way and little changes to add up to the big thing, and sometimes it's really simple, because the problem is fairly cut and dried. I worked with somebody who had, her main issue was that she had terrible gas.
Okay.
Really struggled, and through conversations, we realized that maybe she just needed some beneficial bacteria in her gut.
Okay.
That they had been compromised through this, that, and the other, and so she started taking a supplement of different strains of gut bacteria, and it was like magic.
Nice.
She's like, oh my God, that was it.
Yeah.
And it was great, and then I forgot one day and it was bad. It's like, clearly that's what's going on, right? It's like, okay, woohoo, we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So depending on what the issue is, sometimes, if you're really lucky, it's that simple.
Yeah.
Lifestyle changes are a lot harder.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants a quick fix.
Yep.
Right?
We're used to the pill, like you said
yes,
earlier.
Yes, we want the pill. We want thin thighs in 30 days.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's when you need to change what you eat and how you eat, and you don't know how to cook.
Yeah.
Or when you need to change and are motivated to change, but your partner is not.
Yeah.
And you're responsible for all of the cooking.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are some tough ones.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it looks like you're going to be cooking 2 meals.
Yeah.
Can you deal with that? Or, they're going to eat what you're eating. Right. If you're, if you're not willing to tell them you got to cook your own shit, how's that going to go over?
Yeah. It's like, how important is your nutrition to you?
How important is your long-term health?
Yeah.
Definitely. And if this partner isn't going to support you in that,
yeah,
that's your problem.
Yeah.
Right there is your problem. Yeah. But I am not qualified for that sort of thing. Right, yeah. That is beyond my purview.
Yeah. Oh man. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's, I think those are some of those hard life decisions that people like look at and just get overwhelmed with, it's like, they don't know where to start. They don't know how they got there, all this stuff. Yeah. But I think too, like, sometimes, like, when we finally realize that we are the proponent of our own misery, and then we choose to do nothing about that, it gets so much worse because now you're consciously
standing
aware.
in your own shit.
Exactly. Before it was subconscious. At least your subconscious knew, but you didn't physically know.
Yeah. Now
but once you know, that changes everything. If you know when you're not doing anything about it, your mental health is going to start to suffer as well. Yeah.
Yeah. That one's really rough. That's really rough. In general, most people I talk to need to eat more protein and less processed food.
Yeah.
And the thing is if you, the one can make the other one easier. is that if you start with the protein and have enough protein in your meal, at least 4 ounces, you're not going to be as hungry for the other crap.
Right.
So you start with the protein, as I said, at least 4 ounces. 5 or 6 is better. And then your vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're still hungry after that, okay,
Yeah.
Well, maybe not okay, but
yeah.
it's gonna reduce. But if you you have your bowl of pasta, so and here's so tricky with certain meals, but you have your bowl of pasta and you have meat in your pasta. You have what do you have? Chicken primavera, pasta primavera with chicken in it, all right? Right? Sounds great. You got all these vegetables in it. You got all this pasta and you've got some chicken in it. Well, if you actually pulled out the chicken and measured it, you probably maybe have an ounce.
Right.
Which is, as I just said, at least a quarter of what you really need, right?
Yeah.
So if you do your chicken and your vegetables, and you have your at least 4 ounces of chicken and your vegetables, you got a big bowl of food, right? You add some pasta to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden you've got plenty of food.
Yeah.
But you go the other way around and those ratios are off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, being somebody that worked in restaurants for a number of years, I can definitely guarantee that there's not 4 ounces of protein in that whatever that you're getting, especially if it's a seafood.
Right.
Like if you go fish or shrimp
Shit's
or something.
expensive. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're getting like 3 pieces of shrimp.
Yeah.
That ain't 4 ounces.
No. No.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Start with the protein. Get your protein.
Start with the protein.
All right.
Yeah.
Good advice.
And okay, so here's the piece people don't know. And this is from Don Layman, who is a professor emeritus at University of Wisconsin, I believe. And he is like the man on muscle protein synthesis.
Okay.
Okay. That is the process by which we build muscle.
Okay.
And maintain muscle. Is that you need the amino acid leucine is the amino acid responsible for initiating muscle protein synthesis.
Okay.
It's not the only one involved because all the others then play a role.
Okay.
But you need at least 2 grams of leucine at one time to stimulate muscle protein synthesis.
Okay.
You need about 30 grams of protein to get 2 grams of leucine.
Oh, wow.
At one time.
Okay.
So, even if you're eating a shit ton of protein, but you only eat like 20 grams at a time throughout the course of the day,
right,
you're never stimulating muscle protein synthesis. Therefore, when muscle breakdown occurs due to working out or your body's run low on this amino acid or that amino acid or whatever. Just as bones are the storage for calcium, muscles are the storage for amino acids.
Okay.
They're going to get broken down to provide those raw materials.
Right.
And if you don't ever stimulate more synthesis to rebuild, it doesn't happen.
Okay.
Right? Which is part of that whole thing. If you don't use it, you lose it in terms of strength. Because that muscle will get used for something else.
Yeah.
The body needs a shit ton of amino acids for all sorts of different functions. And it's, I'm blown away by how few nutritionists know this. And actually, and dietitians and nutritional counselors and the whole gamut of them. And it's not something I actually learned in my master's program.
Okay.
I sort of just came upon him. Somebody did a podcast with him, and the title caught my eye about muscle protein synthesis and protein requirements, and I was like, oh, this is kind of right up my alley. Let me listen to this. It's like, holy shit! Okay, A, this dude knows what he's talking about, right? B, it's very cut and dry. Right? It's right there. You need 30 grams of protein at one time. And that is pretty much, children, who knows? It almost doesn't matter your size.
Okay.
It's pretty standard. Now, immediately after working out, you can get by with a little bit less. But, so that refeeding of protein, the post-workout protein shake, there's a reason for that.
Right.
And so I listened to this podcast and I was like, okay, so let's look at what I'm eating. It's like, I'm not getting nearly enough protein a day, and B, I probably never get 30 grams of protein at one sitting. So that day I changed.
Okay.
Okay, got out the scale, measured everything, really rigid with it. Literally the next day, okay, maybe it was 2 days later, I could tell a difference.
Okay.
I was like, normally when I roll out of bed in the morning, I hurt like hell. Stiff.
Yeah.
Sore.
Body's feeling the
crackly
workout from the day before.
Yeah. Body's feeling those 54 years.
Yeah.
And that went away.
Oh.
Now do I feel like I did when I was 16? No.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sell snake oil here, but I felt so much better.
Yeah.
So much better. I was like, wow, wait a minute. This shit works.
Huh.
It was night and day for me.
Wow.
And it makes total sense, right? You think about it. It's like, well, if I'm only randomly synthesizing muscle with the amount of working out I do, that's dumb.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
That's and when I talk synthesizing muscle, it's not about getting bigger. It's not about hypertrophy.
Mm-hmm.
It's about it's about muscle mass and muscles, and I'd have to reread all of this on how muscles work, and that certain types of things make your muscles bigger, but certain types of things make your muscles denser without actually getting bigger.
Oh, interesting.
And based on how, and it has to do with the exercises you do and the weights and the reps and that sort of thing. You can, and there's also some chemical inducement you can induce. That was redundant. To affect that, but so it's two different actions, and so I'm not talking about getting bigger muscles. I'm just talking about having muscle.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because muscles are our storage for amino acids, and amino acids are responsible for so many things that go on in the body. Muscles are our savings account for when the next pandemic hits. And that's not only figurative, that's literal. If you get really sick, if you get really injured and you are unable to maintain eating, nutrition, that's where all of the raw materials for healing are going to come from, is from your muscle. Somebody who gets really, really sick loses all their muscle mass, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? It's because those raw materials are being used. People who are really fit and have a lot of muscle recover more quickly from severe illness and injury.
Yeah.
Because they have the raw materials available.
Interesting. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I always thought the muscles just went atrophied because they just weren't used. I didn't know that the muscles were atrophied because obviously not being used, but also nutrients being drawn from them as well.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
So 30 grams of protein per sitting.
Yeah.
Meal.
Yeah. So
to activate
muscle protein synthesis. Okay. Yeah. And that needs to be ingested in about a half an hour period.
Okay.
So, if you have your protein shake and it has, 30 grams of protein in it, that's great. But if it takes you an hour to drink it, it's not so good.
Yeah, you're losing it.
Yeah. The threshold of that 2 grams of leucine needs to be reached, and then, the shit starts to happen. So 30 grams of protein. Chicken breast has about 7 grams of protein per ounce. And yes, I know I'm going back and forth between English and metric, but that's how it works. So break out your calculators.
Right.
So it's about a quarter protein.
Okay.
Which is, mind-boggling that chicken breast is only a quarter protein.
Wow. Yeah.
What the hell else is it?
Yeah.
Well, there is fat in there, and there's a lot of water,
Yeah.
fiber. There's carbohydrate in there, but yeah, it's kind of funny. Fattier cuts of meat have slightly less protein because they have more fat.
Okay.
Right? Right? Because everything has either, you've been to this nutrition lecture.
Oh, yeah.
The macronutrients, right? Fat, protein, carbohydrate, water. Everything that will always add up to 100%. So you diminish one, you have to increase the other. Eggs are 6 to 7 grams of protein each.
Okay.
So you just, I go with the average of 7 grams of protein per ounce.
Do you always eat your protein or recommend eating your protein, or do you feel like protein shakes or some protein supplements?
Really however you can get it in.
Okay.
And that is, and if it's and that is from meat. Protein substitutes, plant-based protein is a whole different ballgame.
Okay.
I honestly have no idea what that amino acid distribution is, but I know it's not the same.
Okay.
And so no guarantees there at all. There is one plant protein powder from Ascend Protein that now has the same amino acid distribution and ratios as whey protein.
Okay.
And that's a new product from them. And I'm not even endorsed by them. Let's see. Food versus drinking. Whatever's going to get it in.
Okay.
Right? Obviously, there's more in food than just the protein, right? There's all, the macronutrients, the micronutrients, all of that. It's always better to get it in food if you can. It applies to vitamins, it applies to minerals, right? But if that is just, freaking more meat than you can stomach, then, do what you have to do.
Right.
Whey protein powder, I'm a big fan of. I do the whey protein isolate because it has less of the issues with dairy for me, and it's you can mix that with like almost anything.
Yeah.
Coconut water is a great thing to mix with protein powder.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be just water because then it tends to taste like shit. And the other thing I don't like about protein powders is that typically they're sweetened, and frequently they're sweetened with artificial sweeteners.
Yep.
And that's a big fat no-no.
Yeah.
We go back to the evolutionary record and artificial sugar. Our body has no fucking idea what to do with that.
Right. Yeah.
No idea, and that is the root of a lot of problems for a lot of people. So if you can find, I go for the unsweetened ones because I find the sweetened ones really disgusting sweet. But many of them these days are sweetened with stevia or monk fruit.
Monk fruit. Okay. Right.
Yeah. Which is, it is what it is. It's still processed, but it's at least a natural occurring sugar.
Yeah. And do you recommend whey protein for that application?
Yeah,
okay.
I do.
And for the amino acids, are you talking about essential amino acids or branch chains? Or are they more or less?
Branched chains just refer to the form of those amino acids.
Okay.
The branch chains are essential amino acids.
Okay.
And the branch chain, everybody, they are related with muscle protein synthesis, but they are not the only ones.
Okay.
It's leucine, isoleucine, and valine, I think, are the branch chain. So the supplementing with branch chain amino acids is honestly not getting you anywhere.
Okay.
You need to supplement with with the whey protein, the full spectrum. But that's also the placebo effect. People will take branch chain amino acids as a pre-workout because it thinks because they think it gives them a little extra boost.
Okay.
And if you think it does, then it does.
Then it does, right?
Right?
Yep.
But the science has spoken. Dun, 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 dun. Not a lot of benefit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for muscle protein synthesis, you're missing out because there are other amino acids involved in the process. Once again, there's it's never just one. It's never just one vitamin that does a whatever. It's the whole spectrum, and then you got the enzymes, the catalysts that start the chemical reactions. It's like it's if you want even just the surface of how complex the human body is in terms of nutrition, just take a chemistry class, just a basic chemistry class. It's like, it's mind boggling.
Yeah.
And I'm always just blown away by, the biochemistry specialists, that's their thing. And, they work with, things at the cellular level with enzymes and all this stuff. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
It's so complicated.
Yeah. That's a whole nother brain thought process.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for them. Way to go. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep working.
Yeah, make me proud.
Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Share your work when you're done.
Mm-hmm.
So where's next steps for nutrition taking you? Are you coupling that with all of the knowledge and the training that you have with yoga and CrossFitting and just kind of utilizing that personally? Or
definitely doing that.
Okay.
Trying to maximize my potential. And taking on the occasional client now and again. I haven't, that sort of sits there on the back burner. My training and my goals and aspirations are definite front burner. That's, for making the CrossFit Games and I don't really, at this point right now today, I don't see an end in sight for that. I love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I am having a blast. I have an amazing coach. My husband has been fantastic. The community is really something. It's so fun. And to be, I love watching the games, watching people compete. And the thought that I potentially can be part of that is so motivating and just gets me out of bed in the mornings eventually. Eventually. What I'm going to do, and I don't, I was going to say what I'm going to do when I'm done with that. And it's like, well, why do you have to wait until you're done? It's like, well, I don't really have the bandwidth for much else. I'm amazed at how much I did before the pandemic.
Okay.
And even just, taking on what I'm teaching 2 classes a week now. And that just seems barely doable.
Yeah.
Some of that is still, there's a lot of pandemic stress and anxiety that's having an effect clearly. And, whether that ever goes away, who knows? But yeah, to take on, one really big goal right now is more than enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
right?
a big goal.
It's a big goal, and it consumes every waking moment for me.
Yeah.
It's because it's so nice that it's raining. I just have to segue there. It's like, I just look outside and see the rain. It's like, oh, thank God.
Mm-hmm. I do appreciate the rain up here. It justifies us to be inside and be with our thoughts and our words and our cozies and
it just smells good. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the actual working out, the time spent in recovery, the food thing, the getting enough sleep, and then trying to be a decent spouse.
Right, yeah, full-time jobs.
It's a lot, and that's how I choose to do it, and I'm lucky that I have that opportunity. I could certainly choose to add more things to my plate. But right now, I don't
have the desire.
don't want to.
Hell yeah.
The nutrition's going to be there. The, coaching and teaching more yoga is going to be there. I can do that, the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much longer I'll get at this competitive thing. Just cracks me up. To have come back around to it. I mean, I was a competitive gymnast as a kid,
Right.
but never enjoyed it as much as I enjoy this. Although my mother remembers that when I was, I don't know, 10 or something, and asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said I wanted to be a gymnast.
Aw.
It's like, look at that. I met my dream.
Damn straight.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, when do you find out about your journey to the CrossFit Games? Like, what's that?
Let's see. We will have the Open will take place in mid-February to mid-March.
Okay.
That's the first step, and I have to be top 10% of my age group, assuming they did it the way they did last year. Top 10% of my age group, which is a new age group. I move into the 55 to 59-year-olds next year.
Right on. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. Looking forward to that.
Good stuff.
So excited. They do lighter weights. So great.
Hell yeah.
Honestly, the 50 to 54-year-old age group should do slightly lighter. They do the same weights as the main age group, the 18 to 35.
Oh, wow.
At least for the Open.
Okay.
They do the same weights. They do the same workouts, 50 to 54. And 54 is not 25.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
and you can tell. I mean, you look at the times.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about CrossFit, right? Is that I'm doing the same workouts as the best in the world. As Tia Claire Toomey has won the CrossFit Games for 5 years in a row now. Nobody can touch her. The woman's a beast.
Damn.
And I'm doing the same damn workout she is.
Right.
What sport lets you do that?
Oh, that's
right?
really, yeah.
Oh, sure, you can play basketball like the pros do. Really?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Doing the exact same workout. And so that part is really, really cool. Of course, she can do it in 3 minutes and it takes me 15. Okay, but I still did it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. I can still do it. Yeah, absolutely. And that, that 15 is pretty damn good for my age group. So, luckily I don't have to compete against her.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. How old is she?
Crush me.
5 years in a row. How old is she?
Is she 30 now?
30. Okay.
Maybe not quite.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a something to hang your hat on.
Yeah.
5 years in a row and some highly competitive like that.
Yeah, and she doesn't lose many events. At the games there were 15 events this year. Mm-hmm. Did she win over half of them? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, nobody even comes close. The competition now is for second and third. Who else is going to be on the podium?
Right.
Because she's just so dominant, and there's no catching her.
Yeah.
At this point.
Wow.
Because her weaknesses are so much better than anybody else's.
Yeah.
Because she's been at the top, so she doesn't have to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's the Open is February and March, and that is the world's largest sporting event.
Really?
The CrossFit Open. Yes,
Damn.
We have 500,000 people around the world participate.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And like I said, everybody's doing the same workout. Wow. I mean, there are different versions for the older age groups and for the youngest age group, the 14 and 15-year-olds.
14 and 15s?
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
Wow.
Adorable.
Little mini CrossFitters.
Oh my God. You should see these people. Oh my God. They're badass.
That's awesome.
So crazy. And 16 and 17-year-old is another age group as well. 18-year-old goes into the main thing. Okay. But this past year, there were 2 17-year-olds who competed in the main thing.
Oh shit.
And one of them placed top 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
17?
17.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Impressive as hell.
Jesus
the other one was top
Christ.
20, so that's super impressive.
Wow.
These women are they were incredible.
Wow.
You know, not only just to be that fit, but, you know, on the world stage with these big names, and, you know, they held on to their shit and really
that amount of pressure on them and all
yeah,
that stuff.
and a
Wow.
lot of attention on them because of their age.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't have to compete in that age group. One of them qualified to the games for her age group. The other one didn't even try. She put all her eggs in the main age group.
Damn.
Yeah, good for her. It's like, there's some balls.
Yeah, right? It's like, nah, I'm not going to play around this kid stuff. I'm going to the big game.
See, you say that and you can't call them balls, right? You got, you know, there's some ovaries.
Ovaries? Yeah, look at the ovaries on that one.
Look at the ovaries. And then after the Open, and they also started involving adaptive divisions.
Meaning?
Super cool. Meaning there were like lower extremity, upper extremity, vision impaired. What did they call it? Brain something? Not emotionally, not developmentally, but they're like brain injury or trauma.
Wow, so just really opening
there
it up to
was
everybody.
like something about seated with hip ability and seated without.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and so they modified the workouts to be appropriate for that. Wow. Awesome. And then at the last minute, 4 of those divisions got to go to the games because of the numbers who participated.
Wow.
Yeah, super cool.
Holy cow.
That was amazing watching folks with one arm climb a rope.
Talk about motivation. Good God.
Holy smokes.
One arm climbing a rope. That's, I'm going to have to YouTube that after we're done here.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It's impressive.
Holy cow.
It was. Let's see. And then the top 10% in each age group move on to the age group online qualifier, which we don't have a date for that yet, but it's usually April or May. And that is a weekend. It's an online qualifier, so we don't have to go anywhere, right? We do it in our gyms. That's what you came to watch one time. Mm-hmm. And then if I am top 20 in my age group after that, and after video review, then I'll get invited to the games, which will be at the end of July in Madison, Wisconsin.
All right.
Yes.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. That's if everything goes as it did last year.
Yeah.
Which it's CrossFit. They make the rules, so if they want to change the rules, that is their prerogative at any time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just happy to participate.
Just roll the dice, see what
That's
happens.
Right. That's right. And you just you roll with it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. That's one of those CrossFit things: the unknown and the unknowable. Just like you get to the games, you don't know what you're going to have to do.
Right.
You don't know what the workouts are.
Right.
Until you show up.
That's got to be kind of like unnerving a little bit, but I mean, I think that's part of it, right? You just get used to that. You're like, okay, what's going to be?
What's it going to be?
Yeah. God damn.
So you got to prepare everything. You got to,
the kitchen sink.
You got to try not to suck at everything.
Fuck,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
That's a mental workout in itself.
That's why I pay somebody to figure that shit out.
There you go. Yeah, right. That's your coach, right?
Yeah. What do I do today? Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Well, shit, man. We're gonna be pulling for you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So we'll leave some links in the show notes and everything to be able to find you. But is there a link to the online CrossFit qualifiers and stuff like that? Maybe we can put out around the time that those we can go back and update the links. Update the show notes.
Yeah, there'll be links to what the workouts are,
okay.
and links to we can link to the leaderboard.
Cool.
But the videos are not for public consumption.
Consummation. Also that.
Why you would want...
Also that.
Yeah, also that. Although, if that's what gets you going and your partner's keen on it,
do you?
No, to my work, yeah. No. That's a very weird idea. Anyway, the videos are not for public consumption. The Are there open videos that are available? Sometimes if you go to there's a sort of a CrossFit news website called Morning Chalk Up, and during the open they occasionally get access to some of the workouts by some of the top competitors.
Oh yeah.
So that's fun, and they're all on YouTube. All the CrossFit games, you can find them on YouTube. All the past 15 years of the CrossFit games.
How we doing?
Yeah, it's a little difficult to maneuver because like individuals is the main age group, 18 to 35. Anything else is considered age group.
Gotcha. So you got to know what
and
you're
then there's
looking for.
team.
All right.
Team is not individuals.
Yeah.
The age groups compete as individuals, but they're not individuals.
All right.
Because they've chosen to call the main age group individuals instead of elite or something like that, which
Gotcha.
would make a lot more sense. Even people who are participating in the age group divisions get really, really confused.
Yeah.
It's a little, jargon, right?
Yep.
Jargon.
Well, yet to be desired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll make sure we pull for you.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
This will come out in a couple weeks.
Okay.
So way before your CrossFit games, but we'll make sure to put you back up there around the CrossFit time and make sure we're pulling for you.
Thanks.
But thanks for sharing your journey. Thanks
Hey.
for talking about your nutrition,
Yeah, you're
CrossFit,
welcome.
yoga, all the cool shit. Any parting thoughts? Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No. Don't eat tree bark.
Don't eat tree bark. Yeah, we did mention that earlier.
I know. We didn't talk about that at all. We didn't talk about that wet yoga class.
Oh yes. I'll put a link to that flyer. I'm gonna make a link for that flyer.
You got because that is a thing of beauty.
Yeah, Katy sent me a flyer for a wet yoga class that had some verbiage on there that I was not familiar with, and it involved the folding of genitals. Yeah. And so I'm just gonna leave it at that. You can Google that on your own and see what you find. But that will not be in the show notes. They will not link the Googling of folding testicles in the show notes. Genitals, I should say. So with that, we will leave you. Thank you, Katy. Appreciate your knowledge. Appreciate your wisdom. We'll see you next time, love.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you so much for spending time with Katy and I. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Check out the show notes if you're looking for the links. And please subscribe and share the podcast if it's something that you're digging. Appreciate you all. Obeisance and love, and we'll see you next time.